Welcome, friends. This is episode 6 of my Enigmatica 2 Expert Extended playthrough series. And before I begin, I would like to thank everyone who in the last 5 episodes posted their comments under my YouTube videos. I don't have too much time to play this pack, and the comments you have posted really motivate me and boost up my mood in order for me to continue and see the series through. So thank you so much. And also, if you find anything surprising in what I'm doing, or you have some suggestions you would like to make, please feel free to go and post the comments. I really enjoy reading them, and I hope that the comment section is friendly and enjoyable for everyone. And I also wanted to thank everyone who subscribed to my channel. It's really pleasant to see all these people subscribing and watching the videos I make. Thank you so much. So with that out of the way, let's go into the episode. So we ended last episode with me talking about how I would like to level some of this area with the new tools I have created, and how we are going to build the main base of operations somewhere here. But I thought before doing any of that, let's do some planning. So this is the map of the area I would like to build in. And on top of this map, I have created a simple sketch of how our base will probably look like. This is just a plan, and it might change over time. But if we look at the elevation map over here, we have a couple colors indicating how high everything will be built in. So at the top level, we have the astral sorcery area over here. We will probably extend this mountain a little bit to fit everything in astral sorcery, because it has shrines and altars which are pretty big. And then below this area, inside the mountain, we'll likely have the area for the botania flowers. And right next to it, this will be our main base of operations. So this is where our bed and the main storage, and hopefully AE2 system later on will happen. And then we'll have sort of like the stairs leading below to these flat plains. And on the flat plains, which about the elevation of 64, we will have a blood magic altar, the animal farm, plant farm, and mob farms will be kind of further away, because eventually we will want to protect all this area from mob spawning, and the mob farms should be kind of away from that protection so that the mobs can actually spawn, the hostile mobs. And then these hills over here, I will actually not level, and on this hill specifically, I'm planning to have lots of bees. And then this area next to the bees, which is very next to my main base of operations, will have sort of like R&D area. We will develop some projects, test them, and maybe move them out somewhere else after we really tested them and prove they're working. And then obviously we will have lots of further future projects like flying to some other planets and stuff like this. And I wanted to have that area kind of close to my main base as well, left out empty, so that we can build over here. And then under the mountain, and this is kind of inspired by Dwarf Fortress, where whenever I have a hillside, I always dig into the hillside. So below the Botania area and the main base of operations, we will have the underground couple levels of the industrial buildings and craftings and automation. So all this stuff will happen underground, and we kind of have some sort of the big machines compartment and things like that. And there will be an opening from that area, which leads to the plains where we have all of the farming stuff. So this is how the base will look like. But before this area looks that nice, we need to level it a little bit. And for that, we've crafted these great tools, an excavator and a hammer. So we'll use these tools to basically level some of these hills over here and create a pathway down from our main base of operations. So let me get back to you when it's done. So it was a couple seconds for you, but for me, this was a couple hours. But let's take a look how this place looks here. So I basically leveled this hill over here on the left and this hill over up front. And then I created a staircase and extended this place a little bit for us. Couple of the interesting things I found as I was digging, I found this kind of canyon, huge canyon leading down, and I actually fell inside as I was digging, but I didn't die. So this is one thing I discovered. And then yet another thing I discovered is right here, right by our base. There is this skeleton spawner over there with a loot chest, which I didn't yet open. I thought I'll open it on camera. But these are the couple interesting things I found. In terms of the tools I used for leveling, I used the Kama in my main hand, and then either the excavator or the stone hammer in my offhand. And because the Kama has well-established trait on it, when I mine things, I'm getting experience. But then later I realized that I'm getting myself a mixture of stone and dirt, and in order to mine this officially, what I did was using either the stone or excavator in the main hand and the other tool in the offhand. That way I can mine stone and dirt without switching the tool. I don't get experience, but at this point I have such a high level that I don't really care about the experience. So this is what I used in most cases over here. As I was explaining you how I use my tools, I have cleaned up this hill over here. And very interestingly, on this hill I found this axe made out of the red wool. I am not sure, does it mark anything below or what mod it comes from, what it means? I have no idea. So yeah, alright, so turns out the mystery was pretty simple. There is a loot chest below the axe and a couple of the things inside this chest. This is not much, but at least that explains what this axe means. And actually, I thought it's pretty cool to discover something like this. Another thing I used extensively is this builder's wand. And I used it to quickly cover my ground with dirt. And the reason is I would like my my plains area to be grassy and green and be very flat, so and uniform. This is why I wanted to cover everything with dirt. And the builder's wand is exceptionally quick tool, which helps me cover lots of ground very quickly. Last thing I wanted to highlight is the tool progression. In Tinker's construct, as you use the tools, they getting experience. And as you can see, both our hammer and excavator are now level expert. This means that as they get levels, they get additional slots for other modifiers we can add. So if you remember, we already added emerald to them, and they had one modifier slot left when I started, and now we have 5 slots. So we can insert, for example, redstone to make the tool mine faster, or some other modifiers. Another thing I wanted to talk about is this prosperous trait. If you remember last episode, we got a reward, which was an excavator head made out of the prudentium material, and we melted that material and created 2 tool handles for both an excavator and the hammer. And because of the prosperous trait, there is a probability that prosperity shards will drop. And because I was mining a lot, now I have about 3 stacks of prosperity shards in my hands. So I can really start with mystical agriculture as soon as the base is finished. As the moon is rising over the horizon, we can look at the result of our work here. Pretty flat terrain, and you can see here that some of the regions are transforming from dirt to grass. But overall, we have a pretty nice plot of space here to develop. And now we need to turn our gaze into this hill over here, which I wanted to fix and basically fill in the holes using the dirt. And let's figure out the best way to do this. In order to do this, let's take a look into the quest book. And here there is a quest hole filler. And the quest is for this hole filler item. And it's supposedly you can throw it and just walk away, your hole will be filled in. So let's try to build this item. It requires just biomass, mud balls, and erdite dust. And I wanted to quickly show that downstairs. I don't think I showed this area, but I have a couple drawers which contain the things I have in larger quantities. And one of these things are these mud balls I collected down at the swamp. So let's build the hole filler. To build the hole filler, we need biomass in large quantities, and last episode I showed that you can put canola seeds into the compost bin And after 150 seconds, you will get yourself a biomass. So let's do this, and now we have to wait for 150 seconds. But let's say you don't want to wait. And then, again, you can use this time in a bottle. I will show this maybe a couple times through the series. So currently, I accumulated 11 hours in a time in a bottle, and this is because I was digging a lot between episodes. So if I speed up the process with the time in a bottle, you see it's already finished. You don't have to wait 150 seconds to get it. Here we go, a biomass. So this one recipe actually gives you 16 hole fillers. And then let's finish the quest. And we get 10 more. So we have 26 hole fillers. Let's go try them out. So the best way to use the hole filler is when you have these compartments which you need to fill. And in this case, when you throw it in, it fills the whole thing. So that's the best way of using it. Here is another example of using it in a bigger compartment. Pretty satisfying. So couple hours later, you can see that this hill looks much better. I fill this in using a bunch more of hole filling and then some digging to flatten this hill out. The other thing I've added is these stairs. They are from Astral Sorcery, marble stairs. I added these stairs so that we can travel up and down from the main base of operations to the farming area. And I also added this wall, which kind of visually helps containing that hill behind it. And now we will work on the main area over here. First, let's check out this chest over here. Wow, it contains lots of interesting things. Let's save that skeleton spawner somewhere else for later. I was building this wall over here, and I realized that placing these blocks by hand takes lots of time. So basically, you remove the block, and then you place the block. That takes a long time. Maybe there is a way to do this better. And this is why Modpack author added this utility chapter, so that we can read about a bunch of cool items and maybe pick the ones we don't really know much about. In this case, I'm looking at the standard exchange scepter. So this thing, if you read the description, it says exchanges the blocks selected with the ones in your inventory. So when I want to update my wall from the stone to the concrete bricks, this tool will be awesome. So let's craft it. If we look at the components of the exchange scepter, then the first thing is this tempered glass. If we look at the quest right next to the exchange scepter is the quest for tempered glass. This glass is blast-proof and light-proof, so pretty good material. In order to craft it, we'll need some pebbles, that's fine, mystical flesh, that's quite easy to get, and then these floors of water. In order to create floors, we'll need this slag. We can receive slag if we sift through dried sand inside the sieve using string mesh. So let's find some dried sand. The dried sand is from Biomes of Plenimod, and I actually happen to know that we can find it in a wasteland. So let's search for the wasteland. And you can see that we found one not too far away, just 1,000 meters. So let's go to the wasteland. The fastest way to travel is I launch myself in the air using slime string, and then I use a hang glider to basically fly into the direction of the wasteland biome. So let me meet you there. And here we are at the edge of the wasteland biome, and there is a plenty of dried sand over here. So let me use our hammer to collect it real quick. Back at the base, let's place the sieve and then sieve through the sand in order to get the slag. So we have crafted the florb, and then we filled it with water inside the hydrator and crafted us some tempered glass. So that's done. Let's finish up the quest. So the next thing on our list is the dimensional blend. In order to craft the dimensional blend, first we'll need to collect us some lava. I have set up a space for myself over here. In this space, I have set up a pump, then survival generator, which provides energy. I flick the lever to be on, and then my pump exports the lava from the river over here. You can see the river on my map in the top right. and I pump it into the portable tank, which has a capacity of 100 buckets. Back at home, I wanted to utilize this recipe to turn lava into the endstone using glowstone we collected in the nether. This is the simple setup I made. This is very similar to the setup we are using to make clay. And you can see that the lava is pouring from the tank into here and then gets transformed into the endstone. And while we are here at our temporary material production base, I would like to highlight a comment from Akmart And Akmart actually commented and asked why we are not using compacting drawers for our sand collection. And I can tell that there is no reason to. It requires just a couple pistons, which we can definitely craft at this point. So I have replaced the regular drawer with a compressed one. So now we can, let's say, get a sand in compressed state really quickly and get a bunch of dust also really quickly. So thank you so much, Akmart, for this comment. Let's get back to the endstone. What do we do with that endstone? Well, we crush it with a hammer first, and once we have it, we can sift it through in a sieve again. Now we have the dimensional blend, and the last thing we need to craft the exchange scepter is this pure Certus quartz. Later in the game there will be other ways to craft it, but right now the only thing we can do is take the Certus quartz seed and throw it in the water. And I did just that. I crafted a Certus seed, and you mix sand with the Certus quartz dust and you make the seeds. And what you're supposed to do is just drop the seed in the water and wait. And actually you have to wait for about 12 hours for this process to finish. I don't want to wait that long. So what we'll do instead is, instead of crafting this standard exchange scepter, we'll actually make a better version, the gentle exchange scepter. In order to do this, we need to craft this precious emerald, which we can make if we explode a block of emerald, pretty cool mechanic, using some TNT. So let's do that. But first, let's go back to the quest book and look into this explosions quest. So this quest talks about how some mobs can fight each other, and this can cause creepers to explode. And in order to prevent the damage from these explosions, you need to create the reinforced stone brick, which is blast resistant. So let's do this, and to do this you mix cobblestone and wood, create reinforced stone. 2 of these now gives reinforced stone brick. So that quest is now finished. Let's collect our reward and build a platform for our little experiment. I've crafted ourselves a block of emerald, then a TNT block, which I place right next to it, and then let's give it a pulse. And we got ourselves a precious emerald. Here is how our newly built exchange scepter works. If you shift left click on the ground, let's say, or on a wall, you can change the area you want to exchange. And then once you select the area size, you just right click on the ground and it will exchange whatever block is on the ground with whatever block is towards your top left of the inventory. So this is the way you can really quickly change the blocks in the area from one type to the other. The next thing I'm going to build is this enhanced building guide. There is a quest for it. And this is the block which is used to assist the players in building different shapes. So here is how it works. You plop it down, you put the lever in, you send the redstone signal, and then the shape you want to build is highlighted. You can make it bigger or let's say smaller. And then you can change between different shapes like the full cuboid or the cuboid, the cylinder, and stuff like this. And then if you fit the blocks, if you right click the blocks on this guide, you can see that the shape you want to build is slowly getting built over here. So this is pretty useful block, and we are going to use it to build in our new base. And because our base has multiple levels on y-axis, we're going to build a couple elevators, and I will show you what these things do. Here you can see I have put 2 elevator blocks, one on the upper level, one on the lower level. And if I sneak on the top one, I get downstairs, and if I press space, I get upstairs. The blocks work if there is about 20 block difference in height between the two. So these items are quite useful in traveling vertically really quick. So back in the home base, I used my exchange scepter to change the floor of our main base of operations to concrete, And I also extended the floor a little bit, cutting into the mountain over here. And on top of this, I have changed 2 of the walls over here from the stone again to concrete. So now this looks nice. I had to use 1.5 scepters to do this. And I also had to travel to the nether and go into the lava lakes and collect ourselves a bunch of bone blocks to craft the bone meal to make more white concrete. But now, after doing this, I feel like our working space looks much nicer. After finishing building our main base floor, I realized that it would be nice to have a tower which would host the blood magic altar, the blood magic mod itself, and maybe even some part of Thaumcraft. In order to plan this tower, I decided to use the enhanced building guide which I just highlighted. You can see the calculations for the size of the tower on screen right now. The biggest blood altar you can build is 25 by 25 blocks. And then if you want to have a symmetrical cylindrical tower, then the smallest odd number that would fit a biggest altar would be a circle of 37 by 37. And this is what I've built. And if we scroll here back and forth, you can see that for such a cylinder, we need 3016 blocks. And this is a lot of concrete. You might think that this would require a huge amount of bone meal, but you should remember that 1 bone meal makes 8 concrete blocks, and then 1 bone block contains 9 bone meal. So the whole project would require us a slightly less than 32 bone blocks, which we can easily mine in the nether. Let's eat jelly lime sandwich and marvel at our creation here. So this is the tower I have built. If we look here, I used a candles for the light source for the time being. Later on, we'll figure out some better way to light this. In the corner here, I have placed an elevator, which brings us to the main level, with our main base of operations. And I wanted to show you how to build these floors quickly, at least in the beginning of the game, where we don't have a super nice building tools. So in here, I have placed this enhanced building guide. And if we click around here, you can see that it is right now in a sphere mode. But I want to build a floor, but remember that the disk is basically a sphere which is squished down to the level of 1. So if I press this, if I press this minus button a couple times and this minus button a couple times, then I basically squish the sphere into the flat disk, and now I can fit my panels. In this case, I'm using concrete panels to fill the floor really quickly. So I feel this is the fastest way to build floors. So I have finished the roof over our blood magic tower, and then I laid out the rough shape for our astral sorcery area. I'm standing at a level Y20, and if I recall correctly, then this is the level at which we get the maximum starlight in astral sorcery. So let me finish building the structure. So I cleared up the mountain, and I'm ready to fill in the shape for the astral sorcery tower. And before I do so, I just wanted to show off that I upgraded our chisel here. Now I have a prosperity shard as a tool rod because it has very high modifier 1.4, and it is writable. And also emerald chisel head. It uses emeralds to fix the tool to restore its durability. However, now the total durability of the tool is almost 3000, and it lets me convert all the concrete into the bricks and panels which I use for construction. So I think it's worthwhile to upgrade the chisel that way. And also the tools I'm using are now level master. You can see the experience, and it's huge. It's because these tools were used for lots and lots of mining. So now they have a huge number of modifiers, 6 modifiers for both of them. So I might think of upgrading them. But let me fill in this tower. So it is yet another morning in the valley, and I will from now on refer to this place as the valley because it is between 2 mountain ranges. And I have finished the construction of the astral sorcery building. So let me kind of fly away and show this off to you. It has several floors. So on the first floor is basically a continuation of our main base of operations. And then there are 2 more floors plus the astral sorceries on the roof. I've built in these elevators, which allow us to travel to the first floor, the second floor, and finally the top. So this will be the astral sorcery area. And I kind of like this design. It's pretty open, has lots of windows. And again, I used candles to light the space up for now. Later on, we'll figure out a better way to light this up. But this is how this place is going to look like. And the next thing, as I told, we will have an industrial area just under here. So let's build that. So I have dug up a couple layers of industrial areas under our main base of operations. And I connected these layers again using the elevator blocks from OpenBlocks. Both of these are kind of on the small side, but we can expand in both directions here because we are underground, so it is quite easy to expand. And I also connected the industrial area to the tower, so this is Blood Magic Tower. And in the Blood Magic Tower, we have 1, 2, 3, and the roof. So 3 layers and the roof, and a nice access to our Astral Sorcery Tower. So overall, I think this now looks pretty neat. This is now our main base, and I think we are now ready to move our stuff over here from the temporary base. In order to make our move, I built this structure over here, which will be our main base of operations. I have built a kitchen, and everything in this kitchen is connected. I also crafted a second cow in a jar, and I moved the rest of the stuff from our temporary base. And then I crafted ourselves a bed and moved a couple stuff like the market. I also built this wall of drawers over here on the second floor, and we will fill in these drawers later on. And then I moved our Tinker's stuff over here and placed the flue bricks over here so we can teleport back to our starter base and other locations as well. So now it's time to actually move our inventory. But in order to do so, I wanted to upgrade the way we store things first. Back in our temporary base, let's look into the quest minigate of RF tools. We need to craft a machine base in order to get into the RF tools. Later on, we will get much deeper into the RF tools mod, but for now, we just want to craft 2 things, the modular storage and tier 1 storage module. So the modular storage requires a chest and then some of the possible machine casing. I will go with the basic machine casing from Industrial Craft because I get 4 from the recipe. So let me craft this. As I'm preparing to make basic machine casings, I wanted to show you a cool trick which I realized. So sometimes when I want to grind my ore really quickly, I'm using grindstone. And in the beginning of the game, if you have time in a bottle, you can speed up the crank. And then you see I'm right-clicking the crank and it's not rotating. And this is probably because it is rotating too fast to be updated. But if I click here, we already ground like a third of it in just a couple seconds. So speeding up the wooden crank with the time in a bottle is the way early game to speed up your ore processing. I have crafted 8 modular storages, and now we need a bunch of ferns, and we need them because in order to make the storage module, essentially we will need to collect a bunch of dead bushes, which we can make inside the dehydrator from ferns. And so I wanted to highlight, we are back at the magical forest next to that floating island we climbed to at some point. And magical forest is a very good place to find ferns in pretty large quantities. I have crafted 8 tier 1 storage modules. Let's now finish the quest for the modular storage. And let's place the storages down. We can now insert the cards. And our storage system is ready. The modular storage from RF Tools works like this. You can place items over here as it would be a chest, but in reality all of the items are stored inside this storage module, which you can take out and bring to another modular storage. You can also upgrade this module to be a bigger version, so that one will hold 200 stacks and the first level holds just 100 stacks. You can also have a crafting grid over here, which you can use to craft some items using the items inside the modular storage. Also, if you brought some items from mining or hunting, you can use this button to merge all of the items from your inventory like this into the modular storage, which is quite useful. So I have 8 of them here, and these are wood and stone, animal and plant-based materials, ores, metals and gems, machine-related materials, industrial mod-related materials, misc bin, and then this one is for furniture and glass materials. Then over here, these are the tools which I can use in my travels. This one is empty yet, and then this small storage crate will be for everything item transfer and fluid transfer related stuff. And I found these 3 small storage crates in the villages. These are, as you can see, quite large. They have 117 item slot, even more than the modular storage. Then on top of this, I have built these 8 2 tall rustic cabinets. And in here, I will be storing the materials related to the mods, which I made the frames of these mods over here. So I have Ice and Fire, Rustic, Tinker's Construct, Rats, Thaumcraft, Astral Sorcery, Forestry, and Botania. So all in all, this plus the top row, 3 rows of drawers will be enough for us to store the materials in the beginning. And I will heavily use this crafting entity here because let's say if we want to craft a button, then it will use items from all of these chests and drawers without me needing to find out where the actual item is. So here we are, a humble beginnings of our new permanent base in the valley. And if we take a look at our time in the bottle, it reads about 28 hours. So this base took me quite a long time to build. Also, if we take a look at the level of our chisel, excavator, and hammer, all 3 of these items were so heavily used that they achieved a level of a master. And for example, the chisel has 8 modifiers we can put on it. So this means that we can very soon make it indestructible. But even though this place took me such a long time to build, I actually like very much how it turned out to be. And if we are going to spend many more hours in this place, then I think that this place might as well look nice while we are playing the pack. But for now, I think I'm going to make a break in the episode. And in the next episode, we will start progressing through the pack in our main base, because this main permanent base requires so many things to be built. But for now, I would like to thank you all very much for watching. And I would love to see you all next time. Same place.